Commander Jihoon Park stared at the display screen on the bridge of his ship. The stars looked peaceful, but space was never really safe. His vessel, the Determination, was on patrol near Kepler Station when the message came through. "Sir, we're getting a distress signal," said Lieutenant Mina Choi from her station. "It's not human." Jihoon walked over to look at the data. The signal was weak and broken. Someone was in trouble out there, but they weren't from Earth or any human colony. The translation computer was working hard to make sense of the alien words. "Can you clean up the signal?" Jihoon asked. Mina's fingers moved quickly across her controls. "Getting something now, sir. They're saying their engine is broken. They're being pulled toward something big." Navigator Dong-hyuk Kim looked up from his charts. "Sir, there's a dead star about 2 hours from here. If they're caught in its gravity well, they don't have much time." Jihoon thought for a moment. Earth's rules said to be careful with aliens they hadn't met before, but someone was dying out there. The choice was easy. "Set course for the signal," he ordered. Maximum speed. The Determination jumped to faster than light travel. When they came out near the signal's location, Jihoon saw something that made his chest tight. A strange-looking ship was spinning slowly through space, getting pulled toward the dead star. It was bigger than his ship, with smooth curves and strange markings. "Sir, I'm reading life signs," Mina reported. "Lots of them. Some are very small." "Children," Dong-hyuk said quietly. "They have families on that ship." The alien vessel was beautiful, in its own way, but it was clearly in bad shape. Parts of it were dark, and it tumbled as the dead star's gravity pulled it closer to certain death. "Open a channel," Jihoon ordered. The screen flickered, then showed a face unlike anything human. The alien had large, dark eyes and skin that seemed to shimmer with different colors. When it spoke, the translation computer turned its words into English. "Unknown vessel, I am Captain Theshera of the trading ship Peaceful Current. We carry 43 souls, including 15 younglings. Our engine has failed, and we cannot escape the gravity well. We do not ask you to die with us, but if you can save our children—" The alien's voice trailed off. Even through the translator, Jihoon could hear the pain and fear. "Captain Theshera, this is Commander Park of the Earthship Determination. We're here to help. What do you need?" Theshera's eyes went wide. "You would help us? We are strangers to you." "That doesn't matter," Jihoon said simply. "Mina, what's their situation?" His chief engineer studied the readings. "Their main engine is completely dead, sir. But if we could get a cable to them, we might be able to tow them out." "How close to the dead star are they?" "Too close. We have maybe 30 minutes before they cross the point where even we couldn't pull them out." Jihoon looked at the spinning alien ship. Hooking a tow cable to something tumbling through space was dangerous. If they messed up, both ships could be lost. "Dong-hyuk, can you match their spin?" The navigator's hands moved over his controls. "It won't be easy, sir. The gravitational forces are making them tumble in 3 different directions. Mina, prep the strongest tow cable we have and get a team ready with magnetic clamps." "Sir," Dong-hyuk said carefully, "if we get too close to that dead star, we might not make it out either." Jihoon nodded. He understood the risk, but looking at the screen, seeing Captain Theshera's desperate face, he knew what humans had to do. "We've pulled ships out of gas giants before," he said. "This is just another Tuesday." The next 20 minutes were the longest of Jihoon's life. The Determination moved closer to the alien ship, fighting against the dead star's pull. Dong-hyuk managed to match the alien vessel's crazy spinning motion. Mina and her team worked in spacesuits, attaching magnetic clamps and cables while both ships tumbled toward death. "Cable attached," Mina's voice came through the radio. "But sir, I don't think our engines are strong enough to pull them out. They're too heavy and the gravity is too strong." Jihoon closed his eyes for a moment. Then he had an idea. "Theshera, do you have any working thrusters at all?" "Very small ones only. Not enough to break free." "That's okay. When I count to 3, fire everything you have in the same direction we're pulling. Even small thrusters might be enough to tip the balance. Commander Park, if this fails, you will die with us. Then we better not fail. Ready? 1, 2, 3. The determinations. Engines screamed with effort. Every power system on the ship focused on the engines. At the same moment, the alien ship fired its tiny thrusters. For a few seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Both ships continued falling toward the dead star. Then slowly, they began to move away from danger. "It's working," Mina shouted. "We're pulling them out." 10 minutes later, both ships were safe. The alien vessel was no longer spinning, held steady by the tow cable. Captain Theshera appeared on the screen again, but now her strange, shimmering skin showed different colors. "Commander Park," she said, and her voice shook. "You have saved not just our lives, but our children's lives. In our culture, this creates a debt that can never be repaid." "You don't owe us anything," Jihoon replied. "We just did what anyone should do." "No," Theshera said firmly. "What you did was special. You risked everything for strangers. The Villani people will remember this, forever." She held up a beautiful crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. "This contains the location of our homeworld. We have never shared this with any other species, but you have earned our trust and our eternal friendship." Jihoon accepted the crystal, not fully understanding what it meant to the Villani, but knowing it was important to them. "We'll escort you to the nearest safe port," he said. "Thank you, Commander Park. The Villani will never forget what humans did today." As the two ships traveled together toward safety, Jihoon looked at the crystal. It was pretty, but he didn't think much more about it. He had just done his job. He had helped people who needed help. He had no idea that this simple act of kindness would one day save his entire species. 15 years had passed since the rescue of the Villani ship. Commander Jihoon Park was now Admiral Park, with gray hair and more responsibilities than he sometimes wanted. The galaxy had become a bigger and more dangerous place for humans. Earth had built more colonies and more ships, but they were still small compared to the real powers in space. The Corvan Empire controlled hundreds of worlds with their powerful war fleets. The hegemony of worlds had the best technology and treated other species like tools. The Keth Collective kept to themselves, but had weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Humans were known as the helpful neighbors. When pirates attacked trade routes, humans would help chase them away. When colonies had problems with diseases or natural disasters, human doctors and engineers would show up to help. But nobody thought of humans as dangerous or important. Admiral Park kept the crystal from Captain Theshera on his desk. Sometimes visitors would ask about it, and he would tell the story of the rescue. Most people thought it was a nice tale, but nothing more. What humans didn't know was that the Villani had been very busy. On a trading station near the edge of human space, a Villani merchant named Keseth was completing another deal. She was Captain Theshera's daughter, and she had spent the last 10 years traveling to every human world she could find. Keseth wasn't really interested in buying and selling goods. She was studying humans. She learned their languages, watched how they lived, and carefully noted where their military bases were located. She wasn't the only one. Dozens of Villani had spread across human space, all doing the same thing. But they weren't spying to hurt humans. They were learning how to help them. Other Villani had different jobs. Some became scholars, reading every piece of human history they could find. They wanted to understand what made humans special. Others studied human technology and military tactics. A few even joined human crews as exchange workers, learning how humans fought and what made them so good at helping others. The Villani had discovered something that worried them deeply. In a secret meeting room on the Corvan homeworld, military leaders were making plans. General Vextar pointed at a star map showing human colonies. "The humans are growing too fast," he said. "In 20 years they might challenge our power." "Their technology is still primitive," another officer replied. "But they make friends everywhere. They go, look at this list." Vextar activated a display. "The miners of Titan 7 consider humans their protectors. The Genth Republic trades only with human merchants now. Even some of our own people speak well of humans after they helped during the plasma storm on Corva 3. What do you suggest?" "We eliminate them before they become a real threat. One coordinated attack on all their major worlds. We call it Operation Stillborn." At the same time, similar conversations were happening in the hegemony of worlds. Both major powers had decided that humans were too dangerous to live, not because they were strong, but because they were liked. A Villani spy in the hegemony's information network copied these plans and sent them home. When the Villani High Council saw what was coming, they made a decision that would change everything. Dr. Hye-jin Yoon was working late in her laboratory on Kepler 442b when her assistant told her a Villani trader wanted to meet with her. The scientist was curious. She had never spoken to a Villani before. Keseth entered the lab and looked around with interest. Dr. Yoon, I have heard about your work with quantum crystals. Very impressive. Thank you. What brings a trader to a research station? I am interested in human science, Keseth replied. Tell me, how many ships does Earth have for defense? Hye-jin thought it was an odd question. I'm not sure. I'm a scientist, not a military person. Why do you ask? Just curious about human capabilities. Your people seem very resourceful. They talked for 2 hours. Keseth asked many questions about human technology, how humans organize their military, and what humans would do if attacked. She was very good at making the questions seem casual and friendly. Before she left, Keseth asked one more question. Dr. Yoon, if humans were in great danger, who would help them? I don't know, Hye-jin admitted. We try to help others, but I'm not sure anyone would help us. Keseth smiled, and her skin showed the colors that meant happiness and determination. You might be surprised, Dr. Yoon. After the Villani trader left, Hye-jin felt uneasy. Something about the conversation had seemed important, but she couldn't figure out what. Keseth's ship left the research station and jumped to faster-than-light speed. In her cargo hold, hidden beneath legitimate trade goods, were detailed reports about human defenses, military organization, and technological capabilities. But these reports weren't meant for enemies. They were going home to the Villani Council, where they would be combined with hundreds of similar reports. The Villani were building a complete picture of human strengths and weaknesses, not to attack them, but to protect them. On the Villani homeworld, Elder Vorthen read through the latest intelligence reports. The picture was clear. Humans had good technology and brave soldiers, but they were spread thin across dozens of colonies. If the Corvan Empire and hegemony of worlds attacked together, humanity would be wiped out in a matter of days. How long until the attack, he asked Keseth, who had just returned from her mission. 6 months, maybe less. They're moving fleets into position now. And our preparations? Nearly complete. We have allies ready to help. The species humans have helped over the years are willing to return the favor. Elder Vorthen looked at the star map showing human space. 15 years ago, humans had risked everything to save Villani families. They had asked for nothing in return except the knowledge that good people were safe. Now it was time for the Villani to return that kindness. Send word to our fleets, he ordered. It's time to pay our debt. Across the galaxy, other species were making similar decisions. The miners of Titan 7 remembered how human doctors had saved their children from a terrible plague. The Genth Republic hadn't forgotten how human ships had protected their trade routes from pirates. Even some Corvan officers whose families had been rescued by humans during natural disasters were secretly planning to betray their own empire. The Villani had spent 15 years building a network of allies, all united by one simple truth. Humans helped people when they were in trouble, and now humans were going to be in the worst trouble of their lives. Admiral Park didn't know any of this as he sat in his office on Earth, looking at the crystal from Captain Theshera. He thought, the rescue of the Villani ship was just a nice memory from long ago. He had no idea that memory was about to save his entire species. The alarms in Earth's defense center were screaming. Colonel Sungmin Lee ran through the corridors as fast as he could, trying to reach the command room. Every screen in the building showed the same terrifying sight. Hundreds of alien ships had appeared at the edge of the solar system. How many? Admiral Park asked as soon as Sungmin entered the room. Over 300 vessels, sir. All Villani design. They're not attacking, but they're not leaving either. Park stared at the main display screen. He remembered the crystal. On his desk, the one Captain Theshera had given him 15 years ago. The Villani had said they would never forget, but this seemed like a strange way to show friendship. Are they responding to communication attempts? Yes, sir. They want to speak with you specifically. They asked for the descendants of Jehoon Park and the crew of Determination. Park felt a chill run down his back. How did they know so much? About what happened 15 years ago? Put me through to their leader. The screen flickered, then showed a Villani female with the same shimmering skin Park remembered, but this wasn't Captain Theshera. Admiral Park, the alien said. I am Keseth, daughter of Theshera. We need to talk immediately. Human lives depend on it. I'm listening. Not over open channels. We must meet in person. The information we carry could save your species, but it could also doom ours if our enemies learn we have shared it. Park looked at Colonel Lee, who shook his head. It could be a trap. But something in the Villani's voice reminded him of her mother's desperation all those years ago. Very well. I'll come to your ship. No, Admiral. You will come to ours, but you will bring your senior staff. What we have to show you requires many minds to understand. 2 hours later, Park found himself aboard a Villani ship for the first time. The corridors were smooth and curved, lit by a soft glow that seemed to come from the walls themselves. Keseth met him at the airlock, along with an elderly Villani whose skin showed deep blues and purples. Admiral Park, this is Elder Vorthan. He speaks for our High Council. The old Villani bowed deeply. Admiral, 15 years ago, your people saved 43 Villani lives, including 15 younglings. Today we hope to save billions of human lives. They were led to a large room filled with holographic displays. Park saw star charts, ship designs, and what looked like battle plans. His blood went cold when he recognized human colonies marked in red. Admiral, Elder Vorthan began, in 72 hours your species will be attacked by a combined force of the Corvan Empire and the hegemony of worlds. They call it Operation Stillborn. Their goal is to eliminate humanity before you can become a threat to their power. Colonel Lee stepped forward. That's impossible, we're not at war with anyone. You are not, Keseth agreed. But they fear what you might become. You make friends too easily. You help too many people. They see this as dangerous. Elder Vorthan activated a holographic display. It showed massive fleets moving toward human space from 2 different directions. The Corvan attack fleet has 200 warships. The hegemony force has 150, but their ships are more advanced. They will strike simultaneously at Earth, New Sol, the Kepler colonies, and every major human settlement. Park stared at the display. The enemy forces were overwhelming. Our entire fleet has maybe 60 ships ready for combat. We can't fight that many. Alone you cannot, Elder Vorthan agreed. But you are not alone. The holographic display changed, showing new ship formations. Park saw Villani vessels, but also designs he didn't recognize. The miners of Titan 7 have sent 20 ships, Keseth explained. Your doctors saved their children from the Red Plague 5 years ago. The Genth Republic is sending 50 fighters. You protected their trade routes from pirates. Even some Corvan officers whose families you rescued are ready to betray their own empire. Park felt dizzy. Why? We never asked for anything in return. That is exactly why, Elder Vorthan said, simply. You help because it is right, not because you want payment. This makes you unique in the galaxy. Colonel Lee was studying the battle plans. Even with these allies, we're still outnumbered. Numbers are not everything, Keseth replied. She activated another display showing weapon designs and shield configurations. We have spent 15 years studying human tactics and technology. We have combined them with our own knowledge to create new weapons and defenses. You've been spying on us? We have been preparing to help you. Every Villani trader who visited, human space was gathering information. Not to harm you, but to protect you when this day came. Elder Vorthan moved to another display. Admiral, your people have a saying, leave no one behind. We have learned that this is not just words for humans. You truly mean it. Of course we do. The Corvan Empire and hegemony of worlds do not understand this. They abandon damaged ships. They sacrifice colonies to save fleets. They think only of victory, not of protecting their people. Kesseth smiled, her skin showing bright yellow patterns. But humans are different. You will fight harder to save one colony than the enemy will fight to capture 10. This is your strength, and we know how to use it. The displays showed detailed plans for the defense of human space. It was complex and dangerous, but it might work. There's one more thing, Elder Vorthan said. We have contacts inside both enemy fleets. Some Corvin officers remember your kindness. Some hegemony scientists you rescued from a space accident 3 years ago are willing to help. They will provide us with real-time intelligence during the battle. Park looked at all the information surrounding him. It was overwhelming. Why are you risking so much for us? Elder Vorthan's skin shifted to deep, solemn colors. Admiral, your people saved my granddaughter 15 years ago. She was one of the younglings on Captain Theshura's ship. When humans risked everything to pull us from that dead star's gravity, you didn't ask what we could give you in return. You just helped because it was right. That's what anyone would do. No, Admiral. That's what humans would do. And that's why, when you needed help, the galaxy remembered. Captain Daeon Han, Park's fleet commander, had been quiet during the briefing. Now she spoke up. When do we start? Immediately, Kesseth replied. We have already positioned our forces. Human ships are being retrofitted with new shields and weapons as we speak. The enemy fleets will reach attack positions in 60 hours. Park took a deep breath. Humanity was about to face the greatest threat in their history, but for the first time since the alarm started ringing, he felt hope. Colonel Lee, send orders to all human fleets, maximum alert status, we're going to war. Yes, sir. What should I tell the colony commanders? Park looked around the room at the holographic displays showing hundreds of allied ships, advanced weapons, and detailed battle plans. All of this existed because 15 years ago, he had decided to help a ship full of strangers. Tell them help is coming, he said. Tell them the galaxy hasn't forgotten what humans do for others, and now it's time for others to return the favor. The attack began exactly when the Villani had predicted. At 600 Earth Standard Time, Corvin and Hegemony fleets jumped into human space at 7 different locations. Their commanders expected to find defenseless colonies and scattered human ships. Instead, they found something that had never existed before in galactic history: a united defense force of species who remembered human kindness. Commander Wusung Jiang stood on the bridge of his ship Soul's Pride as enemy vessels appeared around New Busan Colony. The settlement had 50,000 people, including his wife and 2 young children. Enemy count? He asked his weapons officer. 30 Corvin warships, sir. They're big ones. Wusung nodded. 6 months ago, his single ship would have been destroyed in minutes fighting those odds. But today was different. Villani fleet. This is Soul's Pride. Ready to coordinate? Ready, Commander Jiang, came the reply from Captain Kesseth aboard the Villani flagship Debt of Honor. Our shields will protect your ship while you target their engines. Exactly as we practiced. The Villani had shared their advanced shielding technology with human ships. The new shields could absorb energy weapon hits that would have destroyed the old ones. In return, humans had taught the Villani their targeting systems, which were incredibly accurate. The battle for New Busan Colony was supposed to last 2 hours according to Corvin planning. Instead, it lasted 3 days. Every time the Corvin ships tried to break through to attack the colony, the combined human Villani force stopped them. When Corvin reinforcements arrived, they found their original attack fleet half destroyed and no closer to their target. How are they doing this? Demanded Corvin Fleet Commander Kexfor. Intelligence said humans only had primitive weapons. Sir, their shields are absorbing our plasma cannons, and their targeting computers are hitting our weak spots every time. Then, destroy their shield generators. We're trying, sir, but every time we damage a human ship, 3 Villani ships move to protect it. And when we target Villani ships, the humans do the same for them. Kexavor had never seen anything like it. In Corvin military doctrine, damaged ships were abandoned to save the fleet. But these humans and Villani fought like they were protecting family members. Meanwhile, at Earth's orbital defense platforms, General Jian O was coordinating the defense of humanity's homeworld. The hegemony of worlds had sent their most powerful fleet here, expecting to end the war quickly by destroying Earth. They hadn't expected to face Nth Republic pilots flying human-modified fighters. General O, reported Captain Min-jae Kim from his fighter. These new weapons are incredible. The Nth pilots are flying patterns we never could have imagined, and our targeting systems are letting them hit targets they never could have reached before. The combination was devastating. Nth pilots had reflexes and spatial awareness that no human could match, but human targeting computers could calculate firing solutions that Nth technology couldn't handle. Together, they were destroying hegemony ships faster than anyone thought possible. Sir, came another report. Hegemony command ship domination is requesting permission to retreat. General O allowed herself a small smile. Denied. Maintain attack pattern. The real turning point came when Admiral Park launched his counteroffensive. Using intelligence provided by Corvan defectors and Volani deep reconnaissance, human forces struck directly at the enemy's supply bases. Captain Young-ho Kwon led a special strike team aboard the ship Payback. His crew included humans, Volani, warriors, and even 3 Corvan officers who had decided to fight against their own empire. Target confirmed, Young-ho announced as they approached the Hegemony command station. This is their main coordination center for the entire attack. The space station was huge and heavily defended. Under normal circumstances, attacking it would be suicide, but Young-ho's team had advantages the enemy hadn't planned for. Corvan team leader Dexa-san, you're up, Young-ho said to one of the defectors. Dexa-san activated his communication system and spoke in his own language to the Corvan ships guarding the station. Defense Fleet, this is Admiral Dexa-san. Fall back to secondary positions immediately. Priority Alpha override. The Corvan ships, recognizing a legitimate command code, moved away from the station. They had no idea that Dexa-san was now fighting for humans. Volani stealth systems online, reported the ship's Volani engineer. We are invisible to their sensors. Human targeting computers locked on critical systems, added the weapons officer. The strike took 15 minutes. When it was over, the Hegemony's main command center was destroyed, and their entire fleet was operating blind. But the most important moment of the war came when human rescue ships reached the damaged enemy vessels. Captain Daeun Han had just finished destroying a Corvan battleship when her sensors detected life signs in the wreckage. Ma'am, there are survivors in that ship, reported her medical officer. Corvan survivors, added her tactical officer. They were trying to kill us 10 minutes ago. Captain Han didn't hesitate. Launch rescue shuttles, get them out of there. Ma'am, you heard me. No one dies today if we can help it. The rescue shuttles brought back 43 Corvan sailors. They were confused and frightened, expecting to be killed or tortured. Instead, human medics treated their injuries and gave them food and water. Why? Asked one of the Corvan prisoners. We came here to destroy your people. Because it's the right thing to do, Captain Han replied simply. Word of the rescues spread quickly through both enemy fleets. Corvan and Hegemony soldiers had been told that humans were dangerous monsters. Instead, they found people who risked their lives to save enemies. The psychological impact was devastating. How could they keep fighting people who were trying to rescue them? Mutinies began breaking out on enemy ships. Crews refused orders to attack colonies. Some ships surrendered without fighting. Others simply stopped shooting and waited to see what would happen. Admiral Park, commanding the Allied fleet from the bridge of the massive ship Debt of Honor, a joint human-Volani design, watched the enemy formations fall apart. Sir, reported his communications officer, we're getting surrender requests from 17 Corvan ships and 12 Hegemony vessels. Accept them all. Send rescue ships to pick up survivors from the damaged vessels. Even the ones who were shooting at us this morning, especially those ones. The war that was supposed to destroy humanity in a few days ended in less than a week. Operation Stillborn became Operation Backfire as enemy fleets either surrendered or retreated in chaos. But the real victory wasn't on the battlefield. It was in the hospitals and aid stations where human doctors treated wounded enemies alongside their own people. It was in the prison camps where human guards shared their food with Corvin and hegemony prisoners. It was in the refugee centers, where human volunteers helped enemy civilians who had been caught in the war. The galaxy watched in amazement as humans did something that no one expected. They won a war and then immediately started helping the people who had tried to kill them. "Admiral," Elder Vorthon said to Park as they stood on the bridge watching rescue operations, "your people are very strange." "How so?" "Most species celebrate victory by humiliating their enemies. Humans celebrate by making sure everyone has medical care and enough to eat." Park shrugged. "What's the point of winning if we become the kind of people we were fighting against?" Elder Vorthon's skin showed the deep blue colors that meant profound respect. "And that, Admiral, is why the Villani will always stand with humanity. You don't just fight for what's right. You stay right even when you're fighting." The war was over, but its consequences would reshape the galaxy forever. 6 months after the war ended, the galaxy looked completely different. The Corvin Empire and hegemony of worlds had both collapsed, not from military defeat, but from their own people demanding change. Ambassador Sujin Nam sat in what used to be the Corvin Imperial Palace, now converted into a meeting hall for the new Corvin Democratic Republic. Across from her sat former Fleet Commander Kexvor, who had become the elected representative of the Corvin military. "Ambassador Nam," Kexvor said, "my people want to know why humans helped us even after we tried to destroy you." Sujin smiled. "Because holding grudges is exhausting, and building things together is more interesting than tearing things apart." The transformation had been remarkable. When Corvin soldiers saw humans rescuing their wounded comrades, they began asking why they were fighting in the first place. When hegemony scientists were treated in human hospitals alongside human patients, they realized their government had lied to them about human nature. Both empires experienced peaceful revolutions within weeks of their military defeat. The new governments immediately reached out to Earth, asking for help in building better societies. Dr. Hyejin Yoon, the scientist who had first met Keseth on the research station, now directed the Institute for Interspecies Cooperation. The building was on Earth, but it had staff from dozens of species working together on projects that would have been impossible just a year ago. "The Quantum Crystal Project is showing incredible results," she reported to the monthly council meeting. "By combining human engineering, Villani energy manipulation, Genth spatial mathematics, and even some Corvin metallurgy techniques, we've created power sources that are clean, efficient, and practically unlimited." Keseth, now serving as the Villani ambassador to Earth, nodded approvingly. "My people are eager to share this technology with all species. Clean energy means fewer conflicts over resources." The Institute was just one part of the new galactic order. The Galactic Mutual Aid Compact had been signed by over 200 species. The basic principle was simple: when someone needed help, others would provide it, knowing that help would be returned when they faced their own troubles. Admiral Park, now in his final months before retirement, stood in his office looking at a wall covered with gifts from grateful species. There was art from the Genth Republic, crystalline sculptures from the reformed Corvin worlds, and technological marvels from a dozen other civilizations. But his favorite item was still the simple crystal Captain Theshera had given him 15 years ago. It sat on his desk, glowing softly, a reminder of how small acts of kindness could change everything. "Sir," Colonel Lee entered the office. "There's something you should see." They walked to the observation deck overlooking Earth's main spaceport. Park had never seen so many different types of ships in one place. Villani traders worked alongside human merchants. Corvin engineers collaborated with Genth artists. Former enemies had become partners and friends. "Hard to believe this all started because we pulled one ship away from a dead star," Park mused. "The ripple effects are still spreading," Lee replied. "Intelligence reports say 3 more species want to join the compact this month." The success stories were everywhere. The miners of Titan 7 were using human medical techniques to eliminate diseases that had plagued them for centuries. The Genth Republic had established joint colonies with humans, creating art and music that neither species could have imagined alone. Even more impressive were the former enemies. Corvan military discipline combined with human tactical flexibility had created the most effective peacekeeping force the galaxy had ever seen. Hegemony scientists working with human researchers were solving problems that had stumped both civilizations for decades. But perhaps the most significant change was cultural. The idea that helping others was not just morally right but strategically smart had spread throughout the galaxy. Captain Minje Seo stood on the bridge of the Second Chance, one of the new joint crew vessels with humans, Villani, Genth, and even reformed Corvan officers working together. They were on patrol near the edge of known space when the distress signal came in. "Unknown vessel in distress," reported Lieutenant Hyunwoo Park, a young officer named after the famous admiral. "Their ship design doesn't match anything in our databases." "Life signs?" Captain Seo asked. "Positive. Looks like maybe 20 individuals. Their ship is losing atmosphere." SEO looked around his diverse bridge crew. His first officer was Villani. His engineer was Corvan, and his medical officer was from the Genth Republic. All of them were watching him, waiting for orders. But there was no question about what to do. This was what humans did. This was what all of them did now. "All stations prepare for rescue operations," CO ordered. "Unknown vessel. This is the Earth Defense Ship Second Chance. We're here to help." The reply came through the translation computers in a language none of them had heard before. "Earthship, we did not expect. Why would you help strangers?" "Because that's what we do," CO replied simply. "Stand by for assistance." As rescue shuttles launched toward the alien ship, CO thought about the stories Admiral Park used to tell. 15 years ago, humans had rescued a Villani ship because it was the right thing to do. They hadn't expected anything in return. But kindness, once given freely, had a way of returning when you needed it most. The unknown aliens turned out to be explorers from a distant galaxy, cut off from home by a navigation accident. Their species, called the Talani, had technology that could revolutionize space travel, but more importantly, they had knowledge of other galaxies filled with species who might need help someday. "Captain Seo," said the Talani leader as her people recovered in the ship's medical bay. "In our galaxy, we have a saying. Kindness is the only currency that gains value when spent. We had heard rumors of a place where this was practiced, but we thought they were just stories." "No stories," CO replied. "Just people doing what's right." The Talani asked to stay and learn about the Galactic Mutual Aid Compact. They wanted to bring the same principles back to their own galaxy. 3 months later, Admiral Park attended the dedication ceremony for the Memorial Garden on Earth. It was a beautiful place with plants from every world humanity had helped over the years. At the center stood a simple stone with words in dozens of languages, all saying the same thing. "To those who remember kindness and repay it in kind." Elder Vorthan, now very old but still sharp, stood beside Park as they watched children from many species playing together in the garden. "Admiral," the elderly Villani said, "when my granddaughter was saved 15 years ago, I thought the debt could never be repaid. Now I realize the debt was not something to be paid off, but something to be passed on." "How do you mean?" "Every act of kindness creates more kindness. Your rescue of our ship led to our alliance. Our alliance led to the compact. The compact led to peace. Peace led to cooperation. Cooperation led to discoveries that benefit everyone." Park watched a group of human, Villani, and Corvan children working together to plant a new tree. The Corvan child was carefully holding the sapling while the human child dug the hole, and the Villani child used her people's natural connection to growing things to help the roots take hold. "The best part," Park said, "is that they don't think any of this is unusual. To them, helping each other is just normal." Elder Vorthan's skin showed the golden colors of deep contentment. "Then we have truly succeeded, Admiral. We have created a galaxy where kindness is not remarkable, but expected." That evening, as Park packed up his office for retirement, he picked up Captain Theshra's crystal one last time. It still glowed with its inner light, but now it seemed brighter somehow. He had no way of knowing that at that very moment, thousands of light years away, another species was sending out a distress signal. Their ship was failing. Their people were dying, and they had no idea if the strange creatures approaching them could be trusted. But in this new galaxy, built on the foundation of remembered kindness, help was always on the way. Because this is what humans did. They helped, they remembered, and they had taught the galaxy that kindness once given freely always found its way back home. And now, when someone stood with humanity in their moment of need, the entire galaxy stood ready to move worlds in return.